What was the thing that you learned about your team this weekend that you may not have known previously?
Oh, wow. You guys always have these trick questions. I don't know. I loved how we, handled the, the craziness, and it really happened last week playing a doubleheader, on Friday against Florida. Maybe that prepared us a little bit. But, to get there early on Wednesday night, get rained out on Thursday, play, 18 innings on Friday, and then come back, and we were supposed to play at 11, and, the rain just wouldn't go away, and finally there was a window. And, it happens in baseball, and you got to be able to start, stop, and, keep your focus and don't get caught up in all the things that really don't matter, and go out there and play. And I don't think it was our best weekend as far as, execution and that, but we pitched it well. We played good enough defense and, got enough hits to win.
How do you keep a group of college baseball players occupied while not draining their energy but keeping them focused when your start times are moving 3 times for one game?
Technology is amazing. And so, we send them texts into rooms and say, hey, we're going to leave at this time, we're going to leave at that time. Really credit our ops guys that, we ate breakfast at, 7:30 on that Saturday morning, but, we were supposed to leave at 8:50 and didn't leave until 12:50. And so in the meantime, they fed 50 people with smoothies and wraps from a restaurant there in Lexington. So, a lot of people that have their hands in it that you guys don't necessarily see. But, the players handle it well, and again, the goal was to not let, things that can distract you that you have no control over distract you. That this is something that, they've lived with their whole lives, about being able to have a rain delay and rain out. I'm just glad that we handle it well and play pretty good baseball.
Yeah, speaking of handling it well, I happened to catch your radio interview in between Game 1 and Game 2 of the doubleheader, and just coming off of that opening game loss, and you were asked about Riley Maddox, and I was kind of taken by your answer. You seemed extremely confident. I think I'm paraphrasing. You said, he's going to be fine. We just got to make sure we play good defense behind him. And he delivered for you, but what made you in that moment so confident in his ability to kind of overcome a couple of bad starts and, really shut Kentucky down the way he did?
Because I'm not a fan. I'm a coach, and I know him better than most people and most people that watch us. He's been with us for 4 years, and I get it. It can be frustrating when somebody doesn't have success or doesn't execute, and I get that, and I think that's what makes the differences between, and not that I know it all or make all the right decisions. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is, we try to take the emotional part away from it, and if we didn't think Riley Maddox was going to, be good enough to win the game, or if we didn't think that Judd Utermark, could give us good at bats, we wouldn't play those people, And so, at the end of the day, if we put them in the lineup, we expect and assume that they can get it done. That doesn't mean that they always will, but we wouldn't put them in the lineup if we didn't think they could succeed. Speaking
of Utermark, is he the biggest second baseman you've ever seen?
I don't know. We laugh that he'll give Preston Overby a run for his money. He may be a tick taller than Preston, but Preston was maybe a little thicker. And he did pretty good for us in 2014. So he might be the biggest one in the country. Pound for pound, he's probably the fastest one. So for that size, he can really run.
And how do you make those decisions? So you've done some shuffling around in the infield. What ultimately led you to making that decision to have him at second base and kind of had this more solidified infield?
Well, I think it's a few things, but to just really be candid, this fall we thought Judd would kind of be that Swiss Army knife where he would play some third, he would play some first, he would play some outfield. And because the outfield guys, Mormon, Humphrey and Sanford have played so well and hard to get those guys out of lineup, and then Federico and some others have played well. Furness has gotten hot. We kind of got stale to where we have to leave Judd there at third, and it was working for a while, but I thought we lost, to be honest with you, some mojo, defensively. I thought when we really started the year, I thought we defended with a lot of confidence. We were aggressive the way we attacked the ball, especially in the infield, and, things, started to go a little sour, and not that we were bad, but we had some games where you could tell we were kind of on our heels. And one of the things we did all fall was Luke Hill played third base, on the other team. And he really wasn't getting any opportunities at third, so we figured we'd make that move, and doing so pushes Judd to second base. But again, the Swiss Army knife, metaphor that, he can really play anywhere. And so I think Luke's defended really well at third base, and it's kind of worked at least for now.
Yeah, and you mentioned Sanford earlier playing so well. I had a friend text me last night and say that throw out in extras in the final game was the defensive play of the season so far for your team. Do you agree?
I don't know if it's the play. Mormon made several diving catches, and then I thought Humphrey threw a guy out earlier in that game, to I think keep it the game intact too. I think it was in the same game. So. Yes, I'm going to leave that up to you. You guys get to vote and decide the plays of the year and all of that. But nonetheless, it was a huge play. I agree with that.
Is there any way to coach clutch? And I ask that because of Smithwick's home run, and he is not an everyday starter for you anymore, but he steps up and gives you a big fly to win a game. Is there anything that you can do as a coach to help a guy perform in a tight spot like that, or is it just kind of ingrained in who they are?
I believe, and I mean this sincerely, I believe that guys that are great teammates, guys that hold the team to a high, higher than their own expectations of themselves and playing time. Everybody wants to play, everybody wants to pitch, but when you're a great teammate, when you get put in those situations, I think you're a little freer. I believe that, I truly believe the baseball gods make it a little simpler for you to succeed than people that are selfish or people that think of themselves before they think of their teammates. And you see it all the time in baseball. Guys that come off the bench to pinch hit, or a guy that comes out of the bullpen that might not be a regular guy. I believe I've been around the game too long. Those guys that are selfless guys like Campbell seem to have success in those situations.
And you mentioned the fans earlier. The fans have had this series in particular circled for a while, not only because Tennessee is a really good program and near the top of college baseball right now, but because of who will pitch for them in Game 1 and who will play in the field for them as well. Is that something as a coach that you have to guard against your team getting caught up in? The emotions of the series with the little bit of extra juice, having a couple of former teammates on the opposite side of the field?
I don't think we need any extra juice. I think our guys realize that the game's bigger than any player in our dugout or their dugout. It's two really good teams, two top 10 teams that are competing in a really big SEC series, and we need to keep the main thing and go out there and play baseball, be mature about it, and go be us like we have all year.
Coach, we appreciate your time as always.